Hello everybody and welcome to another board game discussion video. Today's topic is all about a very specific game, Shogi, also commonly referred to as Japanese chess. And essentially, why is it that we don't talk about Shogi? It doesn't fit the rhyme scheme. Go away. Sorry about that. So let's talk about Shogi, just a little bit at least, in a couple of different formats. First and foremost, what is Shogi? How does it work? Secondly, why is it not so popular? Why do we not see more of it, given what it is and all that kind of stuff? And third, if you want to, where can you play it and how can you play it and all that sort of thing. So the fact is that, just to give a little background on this particular video, I have been seeing Shogi more and more in both animes that I watch as well as in games that I personally play as a mini game. So Shogi you see a lot in Naruto and Naruto Shippuden, the I guess sequel, for lack of a better term, and in one of the characters in particular, whether you say Shikamaru or, if you try to do it in Japanese, which I will probably butcher, Shikamaru, I don't care, subs over dubs for life. The thing is that his strategic prowess is often shown by his abilities at playing Shogi and essentially beating every single person at it no matter what, except for his dad when it was almost a rite of passage in order to do it. Now, the second major time I've seen it in anime, at least, has been in Hunter x Hunter. I recently watched the entire series with my wife, and during one of the later stories of the show, Shogi actually plays a pivotal role for one of the characters. I'm not going to spoil too much of it, but honestly, it's really a crux of a character's entire arc. So it's a big deal, essentially. And last but certainly not least is that I've been playing a whole lot of Yakuza Like a Dragon lately because everybody says it's like the best Yakuza game ever, and honestly I have to agree, having played a couple of them, but that's neither here nor there. Shogi is one of the mini games inside of the Yakuza game series, or it tends to be one of the mini games, and the thing is that I get my butt spanked every single time I play it in that game. I play against the lowest difficulty AI and I get crushed. I have tried playing online with various Shogi AI bots that are available for free and all this kind of stuff, and I get my butt handed to myself every single time. I have literally never won a game. I am so bad at Shogi, it's not even funny. But let's get into the meat of the matter. What is Shogi? As I mentioned, it's often referred to as Japanese chess. It is very similar. It's played on a slightly larger board. It's 9x9 versus 8x8. Fundamentally, the goal of the game is the same. You are trying to capture your opponent's king. But that said, there are various differences in a lot of cases where, yes, you still have pawns, you have a rook, you have a bishop, you have other pieces that relate as well. You've got knights and all of these sorts of things. But then you do have unique pieces like generals and the lance, and you used to have what was called a drunk elephant. And I'm really sad that they removed that in modern Shogi, but either way, fundamentally, both chess and Shogi started showing up around the mid-15th century, and modern Shogi started showing up around the mid-16th century. That said, though, we have seen a lot less of Shogi overall. Here's how it works, essentially. All of the pieces, just like in chess, have very specific movement capabilities, but a lot of them are much more limited compared to how they are in chess. So for example, knights still move in the same general L shape, but you can only ever move them up 2 over 1. You cannot move them over 2 up 1, and on top of that, they cannot move backwards, right? That's one of the key things. In Shogi, the bishop and the rook are the most movable pieces that you have available. There are only a couple of pieces that are capable of moving backwards at the beginning. At the beginning, you say? Yes. Just like in chess, when you move a pawn all the way across the board, you can exchange it for any piece that you like. In the case of Shogi, what happens is all of the pieces have a promoted version where you take the piece and flip it over. And now it has different movement capabilities, most often being able to move to any of the immediately adjacent squares, which gives it a tremendously large amount of power compared to what it was originally, and in addition to whatever it was before. So think about a bishop that, in addition to be able to move unlimited diagonally, can now move into any of the immediate 9 adjacent squares, or 8 adjacent squares. Absolutely amazing and incredibly strategic, but it doesn't stop there. When you capture an opponent's piece in Shogi, you are actually able to drop it back down on the board as your own. That just blows everything else strategically about whether it is chess or Go or anything else completely out of the water, in my opinion, because you can place a piece behind enemy lines right next to their king effectively if you want to. And if you've got the board set up properly, you can checkmate your opponent just like that. It's absolutely incredible, and adds it's not even just one layer, it's so many extra layers of things that you have to think about, things that you have to worry about, things that you're able to do and set up and play, and all of that kind of stuff. Not to mention, it adds a tremendously higher value to pieces like the rook and the bishop, because it means that if you have 2 rooks and your opponent has none, you have a huge advantage, because that is possible to end up with even though you start with only 1. But that said, why is it that we don't hear so much about Shogi? Why is it that nobody is talking about it? If you look on BoardGameGeek, Shogi only has about 1.6 thousand reviews or submissions for ratings, whereas chess has over 30,000 and Go has about 16,000. But that said, if you look at the abstract games category, Go is higher than both of the other two, but Shogi actually ends up higher than chess. The thing is, the way that BoardGameGeek's algorithm works, because Shogi has fewer ratings overall, it ends up much lower in the overall rankings compared to chess, even though it's higher in the abstract ratings. So what's going on here? And my guess is simply the fact of how you have to play it, because the way it works is that, unlike chess and unlike Go, you do not have something very distinct and very obvious that allows you to distinguish one piece from another. You do not have a distinct castle-like structure that indicates a rook. You do not have a distinct horse structure that indicates a knight. You do not have a simple black and white piece indicating the Go players or anything along those lines. And so that said, in Shogi, the only real way to tell is you have the Japanese, I think it's kanji, it might be I don't honestly remember the different types of Japanese writing, but fundamentally it is the Japanese character of what the thing is. And I think that is the biggest barrier that people are scared of. The fact is, you can get a Shogi set and a really nice like foldable board or a really nice wooden board for pretty cheap. It's really easy to get your hands on, but the fact that everything is written out instead of something that is a very distinct color or piece structure is what turns a lot of people off to it, because it makes it more difficult to tell exactly what it is, and it means that you have to memorize it more, and a lot of them frankly do look relatively similar. Again, I don't know Japanese, so obviously this is coming very much from the, ugly American standpoint, so to speak, of it's, everything looks the same. Obviously they don't all look the same, but they look similar enough that, especially once everything starts moving around, it can become difficult to tell what's what. And for me personally, whenever I'm playing against AI opponents and all that stuff, playing games within games or just playing online, I have to basically click on the little thing to see, like, what is this? Or I have to look up in the rules, wait, what is it that this thing can do? All of that sort of thing. And so I am constantly having to do that because I haven't memorized the pieces. But the fact is that when I play Shogi, I'm like, this is so much more complicated than, and has so much more strategic depth than chess, certainly. Maybe not necessarily Go, but chess for sure, that I don't understand why more people don't play it. And I think that's the major barrier, is the idea of how the pieces are distinguished is something that a lot of players are not really comfortable with, and it has a much steeper learning curve because of the idea of being able to place down the opponent's captured pieces, as well as the idea of promotion and when it can happen. Because in some cases, when you promote, you gain certain movement abilities, but you also lose other movement abilities and stuff like that. So there's all sorts of different stuff that can happen. But that said, moving on to our third point. What is it that we can do about it? Now, obviously, I'm extremely biased here. I like Shogi. I enjoy playing it, even though I have literally never won a game against the lowest rated computer AI that you can possibly find. I don't care though, because I enjoy playing it. I think it's fun. I really, really suck at it though. Maybe that's why people don't like it. I don't know. But what can we do about it? I think that just talking about it is a great way to do it. Try it out yourself. Go and try it on any of a number of free sites. I've linked a couple in the comments below. Try it in a game of Yakuza as one of the sub games that's inside of there. You know, just try it out for yourself and see how you like it. It is a board game that is as old as chess, but it adds so much depth and complexity compared to your basic chess type game that simply calling it Japanese chess is almost an insult to Shogi as it really stands for, which is really unfortunate. But the fact that it is so low on BoardGameGeek's rating lists, even though abstract wise it's much higher, well, not much higher, but it's higher than chess, it has so fewer rankings. We're talking about like more than 10 times fewer rankings than chess does, and right about a tenth of the rankings as Go. It's sad to see for a game that is so amazing and has that same concept of easy to learn and hard to master. So I don't know. I mean, just try it out, please. Watch somebody else play it. Watch some matches. They do have European and worldwide and North American and all these kinds of Masters championship games that you can watch and see, and you can see them describing the moves and all of that. But I mean, again, it's going to be like you're watching Masters play, so you're probably not going to understand any more of it that way either. But it's just, I don't know. It's weird that it's not seen more, and I mean, I can't say anything because I don't have a copy of it personally, but that said, I doubt I'd ever get to play it because, again, it has such a steep learning curve compared to anything else that it's virtually impossible to find somebody else that's not an AI to play against unless you're really big fans of the game. But that said, that's enough rambling from me on the topic. I hope that you enjoyed this video. And again, it's just an odd sort of thing why we are not talking about this truly amazing abstract game that is Japanese chess or Shogi. Why is it that we don't talk about it? We should be talking about it. And so I just don't get it. But that said, of course, please let me know anything and everything you think in the comments below. Are you familiar with Shogi? Have you seen it in the context that I have, whether it's in the animes or as sub-games in other video games, or played it yourself? Do you own a copy? Let me know it all in the comments because you know I love to hear it all. Of course, as always, please take a look at my social media pages if you haven't done so already, where you can interact with myself and my channel in a bunch of really fun and cool ways. And with that, let's see if we can get people to, you know, essentially replace Go and, you know, chess with Shogi, or, well, maybe not replace, but at least get it more into the mix, because we don't talk about Shogi, but I would rather it be that people stop talking so much about chess and we end up with, we don't talk about Go. Crap, that fits into the rhyme scheme when you extend the syllable. Everybody run. Goodbye, take care, have a great time, and I will see you next time. Bye.